Molding Goals Like Clay, a Template for Adaptive Leadership in Turbulent Times abstract. This article introduces a paradigm shift in organizational goal setting for today's volatile and complex business environment. The article proposes replacing traditional rigid objectives with an adaptive framework that treats goals as malleable rather than fixed. Drawing from complexity theory, change management research, and extensive consulting experience, it presents a template for adaptive leadership that emphasizes flexibility, continuous environmental scanning, modular coordination, and learning-based progress indicators. The framework advocates for inspirational visions over prescriptive targets, transparent information sharing, distributed decision-making, and regular cross-functional summits to collectively reshape priorities based on emerging realities. Through industry examples, the article demonstrates how this molding goals like clay approach enables organizations to maintain strategic direction while adaptively responding to unpredictable changes, ultimately fostering resilience and sustainable success in an increasingly interdependent world. As consultants and researchers, we strive to understand organizational dynamics and offer guidance to leaders navigating change. However, the landscape is shifting at an unprecedented rate due to forces like globalization, technological disruption, and societal transformation. Goals set in previous eras using traditional models may no longer apply in today's complex, interdependent world. Turbulent et al. 2007. This requires a new approach, one that views goals not as immutable stones, but as malleable clay that can be molded to the circumstances. Today we will explore a template for adaptive leadership grounded in both research and practice. Drawing from over 15 years advising Fortune 500 firms and academic studies on leadership, complexity theory, and change management, I will outline a framework for establishing goals that can evolve alongside fluctuating conditions. The approach centers flexibility, ongoing environmental scanning, coordinated action across silos, and continuous learning. Heifetz et al. 2009. While ambitious long-term visions still have value, the path to get there must stay open for redirection. The role of goals in an uncertain world before delving into a new model. It's critical to understand why traditional goal setting is problematic in today's VUCA environment: volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. Bennett and Lemoine, 2014. For decades, organizations anchored strategies and initiatives around specific, measurable objectives etched in strategic plans. Yet rigid targets established under one set of assumptions often break down when realities shift. Senge, 2006. Meanwhile, complexity theory teaches that social systems like organizations exist in a web of dynamic relationships, such that any change, no matter how small, can have unpredictable nonlinear effects over time. Allen, 2001. Sillars, 2000. Interdependence has grown exponentially as globalization interconnects once isolated players and the digital revolution transforms industries overnight. The future, then, cannot be precisely predicted or controlled as in prior eras. Stacy, 1995. Wheatley, 2006. It's time to rethink not only the rigidity of goals, but their very function within organizations. Heifetz et al. 2009. Rather than endpoints to definitively reach, they should serve as orienting guides subject to iterative adjustment. Leaders need a mindset and process that enables fluid yet coordinated response to discontinuities across a distributed, emergent environment. Molding Goals Like Clay, a template for adaptive leadership. The following template presents a framework for conceptualizing goals as flexible forms that leaders can shape, reshape, and work with as conditions demand. It incorporates theories and practices applicable across industries in today's dynamic context. Defining vision, not destiny, before setting initial targets. Leaders must establish an overarching vision to focus collective energy and provide long-term directional sense-making. Cotter. 2012. However, communicate this as an inspirational, what, rather than prescriptive, how, to avoid perceptions of absoluteness or limitation. Heifetz et al. 2009. For example, envision becoming the most trusted brand versus increasing market share by 10% annually for 5 years to leave room for multiple valid pathways. Validate vision continually through open dialogue across levels. Enhancing shared understanding and investment over time. Environmental scanning as ongoing ritual rather than periodic reviews. Establish continuous environmental scanning as a core leadership responsibility and organizational ritual. Heifetz. 1994. Draw learning from both internal and external trends. Surprises and potential wildcards to refine assumptions. Allen. 2001. Routinely analyze how goals may require recalibration against the backdrop of wider forces like policy changes, competitor innovations, societal trends, and emerging issues. Dedicate resources to monitoring weak signals that could foreshadow disruption. Modular goals enable emergent coordination. Break large, interdependent objectives into interconnected yet autonomous modules that different functions can enact independently based on local realities. Dooley and Van der Ven. 1999. This cultivates distributed, self-organized responses tailored to dynamic conditions across business units or geographies. Brown and Eisenhardt. 1997. Yet maintain light integration mechanisms like regular summits and digital collaboration platforms to align dispersed pieces as an emergent whole. Continually regroup and reassign modules as contexts evolve. Learning-based progress over metrics alone. Over-reliance on quantifiable targets can distort behavior and stifle adaptation. Smith and Greats. 2011. Instead, emphasize double and triple-loop learning from experiments, failures, outliers, and weak signals to continually question and refine goals. Strategies and Causal Theories. Argyris and Schon. 1996. Track qualitative progress indicators related to culture, relationships, and capabilities in addition to traditional metrics. Heifetz et al. 2009. Foster psychological safety for experimenting, dissent, and course corrections without blame or stigma. Empowering stewards through transparency. Commit to full transparency around organizational realities, challenges, uncertainties, and flexible thinking to cultivate trust and distributed responsibility. Gino and Pisano. 2011. Williams, 2002. Equip people across boundaries with high-level insights into enterprise goals, rationales for adjustments, and an understanding of their role in emergent coordination. Delegate decision rights and resources to empower frontlines as stewards able to improvise locally for the greater vision. Heifetz et al. 2009. Collaboration tools promote two-way information flows, adapting in real time through periodic summits. Finally, establish periodic summits where leaders and representatives from different levels convene to review progress, surface lessons, and collectively remold priorities against the latest understanding of realities. Heifetz et al. 2009. Use structured techniques like causal mapping, scenario planning, and backcasting to envision alternative scenarios and align on necessary pivots. Ramirez et al. 2016. Wack, 1985. Treat goals not as endings but ongoing experiments requiring real-time refinement by the collective intelligence of the organization. Industry examples. Molding goals in practice. The template applies across contexts, but two contemporary examples illustrate its relevance. First, consider a technology startup navigating exponential disruption. It set an initial goal of becoming the dominant cloud storage provider but reinvented itself as a blockchain security firm after observing weak signals around shifting customer needs and emerging competition. Monthly offsites and continuous environmental scanning enabled fluid yet coordinated adaptation across divisions. Second, an automaker molded goals amidst industry transformation. Rather than rigidly pursuing profit targets, it broke objectives into autonomous project teams, empowered by transparency into challenges. Teams iterated designs through rapid prototyping and shifted focus organically into electric vehicles, autonomous software, and mobility services as user interests evolved. Cross-functional summits helped reconcile dispersed experiments into a coherent strategy responsive to weak signals of societal and technological change. In both cases, molding goals like clay rather than setting them in stone fostered continual readiness to seize emergent opportunities or mitigate disruptions across complexity. While ambition remained, the path continually reshaped through double-loop learning, coordinated modularity, and transparency fueled distributed responsibility. Conclusion: in today's VUCA world, the only constant is change. Organizations requiring stability and predictability to operate efficiently in previous decades now need agility, permeability, and resilience instead. This piece provides a template for adaptive leadership through goals conceived not as fixed endpoints but malleable forms that evolve in tandem with a dynamic environment. Drawing from academic theory and experience advising enterprises, it offers a collection of principles and practices to cultivate strategic flexibility and coordinated responsiveness to discontinuities across levels of a dispersed organization. Ultimately, evolving visions aligned with uncertain realities may prove the surest route not only to survive but thrive amidst complexity. Adapt or perish, the choice remains clear.